Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football presented by Texas Road. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined daily by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, who seems to be a little preoccupied this morning.
Yeah. Reading up on that A&M Texas rivalry restarting. That's going well for A&M, I got to tell you.
Well, tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We'll have Coach Bob Shipley joining us here in a little bit, as we always do on Tuesday. And guys, we already know the topic, the hot topic, portal.
There's a reason for that, though. I mean, look, this is do or die time at some level, right? I mean, you only have one chance a year now to restock your team with specific needs. I talked about this a little bit in this morning's article on Texas Football. Look, Texas has addressed two needs so far. And I'm not talking about the specialists, because those are, while needs, those are kind of easy to replace, et cetera. Texas has replaced two needs so far: an over-the-ball nose tackle and Ian Gerard. They've also Jerry's got me. Ian Gerard, the over-nose tackle, an inline blocker, and Michael Masunas, he committed yesterday from Michigan State. But there remains so much more they still need, okay? So they are just getting started. Now we got to find out what's going to happen. They still need a running back. They still need and want a wide receiver with some juice. Cam Coleman fits that description, obviously. They need 2 to 3 offensive linemen, at least. They want an edge. They want at least 1 or 2 more defensive linemen to pair with Ian Gerard. Okay. They need 2 linebackers. They want a corner and a safety. All of this is still to come. And Texas hosted several official visitors yesterday, on top of the ones that already visited and left and went elsewhere. 2 of the ones I want to highlight today, Jerry, are Christian Alliegro, the linebacker out of Wisconsin, and Bo Masco, the cornerback out of Rutgers. Both guys, legit big-time players. Masunas, Masco, you've got to put Alliegro in there, Blake, yesterday. But my point being,
that was actually on me. I forgot. I had so much.
Oh, there you go.
I wasn't going to throw you.
I don't want to put that on Blake. That one's on me. I had so much going on.
Yeah. But my point being, those are the 2 that visited yesterday. I think that could really fill absolute needs. Masco and Alliegro. What do you think, Jerry?
Yeah, look, I think Christian Alliegro. I've been saying on TexasFootball.com, the number 1 linebacker was TBA, and the number 2 and 3 linebackers were TBA and TBA, and just kind of wait, not to be determined, to be announced. I kind of gave a hint on the Portal After Dark thread very early on. Hey, I hope Texas recruits this guy. It was Christian Alliegro. He was the number 1 guy for Texas at linebacker, and they got him on campus. He's out of Wisconsin. Portal rankings be damned. Just go watch the kid, and you know how good he is. Now, I don't care where people have him ranked. They're wrong. This guy's a really, really good football player. 6'4", 245. Grew up a lacrosse player in Connecticut, went to Avon Old Farms High School, played lacrosse and football. Similar, not on the same level lacrosse player, I'm saying, as Ethan Burke, but similar kind of paths where football was a little later, being serious about football. But this guy is a super tough, super physical player at 6'4", 245, and he has range, he has length. There's some stories out there. Somebody quoted on TexasFootball.com and the thread I made about Alliegro, about Luke Fickell saying he broke his arm, patched it up, or whatever that means, got a wrap on it, played the rest of the half, then went in, got soft casted up, played the rest of the game. I think he missed a couple of games after that, but tough guy, really physical. He has the SEC physicality needed. He has the size needed. He has the range needed. So he's a big one for Texas. We've not heard of another visit for him. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but as of when he was getting into Austin yesterday, we have not heard of another team for him. So we'll see where that goes. I mean, maybe that means he ends up at Texas soon, or maybe he schedules another visit after that. So we'll see where it goes. But he is a guy Texas absolutely loves. A little update. Jaden Woods, we talked about him, expected air quotes to announce later in the week. John Summerall and his staff have either met with Woods last night or maybe going today. They're trying to have one last conversation with him in Kansas City before he makes a decision. So there's that. Oregon's also trying to make a run late early in the week, and see if they can become a factor in this. I think it leans more Texas, Florida, unless Oregon can really make something happen here in the next couple of days.
I think Texas feels good about that as of right now. And I say that as of right now. The one thing about Woods, he's trying to make a decision this week, which I think is important for everybody to understand.
Oh, I want to say this living rent free. He said Texas must be his best scouting in the country if no one else on like her. All I'm saying is we haven't heard of another visit yet. Colleges will like that guy a lot better than portal rankings. That I can tell you.
Well, we got more to talk about this morning. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about our sponsor, Texas Road.
Yeah, absolutely. Our friend Rick Valro and the guys at Texas Road, your full-service solution for major road projects with the full support of the multiple crews performing utility, dirt work, concrete, and asphalt. Texas Road provides on-site concrete through volumetric trucks for smaller volumes. They're able to complete road building in a high-profile environment. Again, that's Texas Road. Our friend Rick Valro. He also has a sister company, Austin Underground. If you have big major projects to deal with that require underground building, make sure you talk to Rick and his team at Texas Road and Austin Underground.
Let me hit one thing real quick. Some people have asked about Robert Woodyard. Dave said, hey, we lost out on Robert Woodward as well. He was not as high on the Texas linebacker board. Wrong or right, he was down about 4 or 5. There's some other guys that Texas likes ahead of him. Good player. Really smart football player, instinctive football player, solid inside linebacker for Auburn. Texas just has some guys higher.
All right, well, it's new visitor today, right, Jerry?
Yes, Dante Simpson from Miami is scheduled to be in today. He's from Chaminade, Madonna, our favorite high school in the chat. Favorite high school is say in the chat. Let's say that. Dante Simpson Jr., 6'3", 300, played at Chaminade, Madonna with Derek Cooper, with Jeremiah Smith, with all those guys, right? Edwin Joseph. So he was on that team. He played a little bit at Miami this year. Jumped into the portal. He played, I think, 18, 19 snaps and a couple of non-conference games and 20 snaps and maybe a kid that's got a lot of upside ability. I think he can play the run in the SEC. So we'll see if Texas – it's not a lot. Texas makes an NIL offer there. I think they're bringing him in because even though Ian Giffard is in the picture, I'm going to get to Zion Williams in a second. Texas is looking at, they brought in Kenny Ozawalu as a 5-tech. They're looking at those various 5-tech guys and a guy that maybe can be a run stopper as a 3-tech, but develop into a disruptor too, potentially. So they're giving him a look. Obviously, Zion Williams is visiting tomorrow, and he's scheduled to visit tomorrow. I think he would be a third nose guard or a developmental nose guard. He's got a huge, he's got a great, unbelievable frame. He had a redshirt year at LSU, jumped in the portal, scheduled to be on campus tomorrow, to the best of our knowledge. That's what we've reported. It can always change, but that's what we reported. And I do think Texas would make a push there as a developmental depth nose guard, because I do think more 3-man front from Will Muschamp. True over the ball players. You can't have one. You can't have two. You need some depth there. I think he'd be a third guy. Texas loves Josiah Sharma, and obviously Ian Giffard was their top guy over the ball in the portal. I want to mention Bo Masco too. Bo Masco, obviously for those that don't know, was recruited to Rutgers by Mark Orfe. Ohio State's also been mentioned there. We'll see if anybody else pops up on Masco's radar for possible visits. He was at Texas yesterday with his father. I think he's back this morning before leaving.
You're muted, Bobby.
Let's hit something straight up real quick. I've seen this now for 2 days straight, and I want to bring this up. Bobby, stop with all-in gaslighting, please. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. If I told you that Texas brought in the number 1 wide receiver in the portal, the number 1 or 2 defensive end in the portal, 2 Michigan starting offensive linemen, the top cornerback in the portal, according to them, and the top linebacker in the portal, according to them, and made significant NIL offers to all of them, how is that not all in? The only thing they've not gotten on campus is running back. I mean, everything, and they tried, and we're going to try. But if the guy doesn't go in the portal, they can't do anything about it. So asking me why the term Texas is, if you're focused on one position and whether or not they've gotten commitments from certain people yet, well, these guys haven't made none of those guys I just mentioned have made decisions yet. Texas is all in. Y'all can term it however you want. The top running back or the top wide receiver on your board comes in. The top overall player in the portal comes in. 2 Michigan starting offensive linemen come in. You know, not guys that y'all had heard of probably because they're offensive linemen. One of them's honorable mention All Big Ten. Top linebacker in the portal comes in. Top cornerback that you want is in the portal. Defensive end that led Florida in sacks last year comes in, but that's not all in, with significant offers out to all of them. Okay? So
and I want to add that not many of the top guys have committed around the country.
Other than quarterbacks.
So Jesse says, I gaslight. Okay, yeah, I really gaslight. I sit here and say the agents are in control. Whatever, dude. What I'm saying, here's what I'll tell you. How many of the top guys have committed? How many of the top guys committed after one visit? I mean, that to me, that's Brendan Sorsby. Did he go to Tech and commit? Nope. Then he visited LSU. Didn't he make a decision? Yep. He took 2 visits. Sam Levitt's made 3 visits, hadn't committed anywhere. Coy Parrish, is he committed? Have all these top guys committed yet? The answer is no. Drew Mestemaker followed his coach to Oklahoma State. These are recruitments that are ongoing. The agents are in control. That doesn't mean Texas isn't putting their absolute best foot forward.
None of the major teams, none of the non-quarterbacks that are major players have made a decision yet. I mean, not that Texas circled. So I don't know what you want to say. If you think that they have, they're trying to lowball the Michigan offensive lineman and not all in, you're wrong. If you think they're trying to lowball the linebacker, you're wrong. They're all in. Just because they're all in doesn't mean that they're going to get every. I mean, you can be all in and lose. Can you not? that happens. That happens all the time when people push the chips to the middle of the table. But they are absolutely all in. I mean, players at 6 different positions, they had number 1 on their board. What do you want to do?
Okay.
I'm sorry, but I'm getting a little I'm getting a little upset at the lack of patience, some of which I have myself. I have a lack of patience at times too. So I get that. But don't call people out for gaslighting. That's not what we do here.
Yeah.
Glad people think, hopefully most people think differently. But.
Well, looks like Coach Shipley's here this morning. Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
How you doing, Coach? How's the weather up there?
Unbelievably beautiful.
Is it really? Hey, Coach, one of the questions, we're talking portal this morning, and I think you could kind of give us a thought process here. You look at Kurt Cignetti and what he's done at Indiana. Ole Miss is built by the portal as well. What do you think the portal kids are giving these teams that may set them apart? Is it really just experience? I mean, Cignetti's got the oldest team in college football right now. Is that what they're getting? Is experience and lack of they don't make as many mental errors. They execute better. What is it that is the value proposition there?
Yeah, I think there's a learning curve for all freshmen coming in. First of all, you might live in a co-ed dorm. Just all this stuff. That the training room. Wow, look at this. We've got chefs. We've got and just the size of everybody, and just getting the big eyes out of the way. Where you've got guys that have been there, done that. They know what to expect. They know the practice level. They know how to handle themselves in the locker room. I think that's that's a big part of it. But none of that matters if you haven't done a great job of not only evaluating them as an athlete, but evaluating obviously how they'll fit into your schemes. And so defensively, we're going to see some scheme changes. And I think all of us probably can guess the number one thing that Muschamp is looking for is toughness. All the other stuff, football savvy and speed and, the high point in the ball if you're a DB and all that stuff. But, obviously this defense is going to be built around toughness. But, I understand people's frustration as you guys were talking about the portal. But, some people, it seems like to me, they still have the mindset that we've got an unlimited budget, that we can just go out like, whatever, and say, I want 3 of those, 2 of those, 1 of those, and it's not that way. Supposedly, everybody's playing by the same rules. I don't know. There's no way to know if that's true or not, but there's only so many pieces of this pie that can go out. And don't think that the Manning camp is not preaching in Sark's ear saying we've got to have those Michigan linemen. We've got to have, Cam Coleman. We really need to get, Relique Brown or whatever that guy is. We would all like to see that, but at the expense of what?
Yeah.
You've got a defense that's pretty. We need edge guys. You said we need, a couple of linebackers, a corner, maybe a safety, but not the high-profile guys. We've already got those. We need the high-profile guys. Not that we couldn't use one, but we've got the high-profile needs at offense that makes any offense click. Good offensive lineman, a GoDaddy running back, and a receiver that can make plays when nobody else can't. And I'll go on to say this. I can't for the life of me understand, and who knows how much of it is playing these teams against each other, but why Cam Coleman would even consider catching balls from Marcel Reed over Arch Manning. I don't understand that. I think, I think it's certainly about money, but it's also about posturing yourself to make a big splash, be up for a national award. Did he win the Blitnikoff, by the way?
No.
Maybe you can win the Blitnikoff. I don't know. Jordan didn't win the Blitnikoff. He won the Paul Warfield Award. Did him no good in the draft. That stuff doesn't matter. But the fact that he's still being considered the top receiver in the Coleman without many people around him at Auburn does say that you don't have to have the best people around you for people to see your talent. But who doesn't want to go in and play on a great winning championship caliber team with the best quarterback in college football, in my opinion, next year? That stuff doesn't make any sense to me. People just have to realize it's just common economics. It's just economics 101. I've got $1. I can go to the store. What can I buy for $1? Well, I really want this. I really want this. I really want this. You've only got what you've got.
That's why they invented credit cards, Coach.
Yeah, well, maybe there's some credit card payments going around and some stocks and bonds and stuff we don't know about. I'm not sure how that works. I've heard nothing of that. I just threw that out. Don't anybody be telling me that X school is giving them stocks and bonds in the future that can't be tracked. I don't know how that works. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea, actually.
Jerry, we talked about this today. The thing that we're noticing, Coach, is that a bunch of the non-quarterbacks right now are not making decisions as quickly as maybe some had anticipated. You think that's just a natural progression of the portal right now? I mean, there's been a couple. I think Nick Marsh, the wide receiver, committed to Indiana. Okay, he wasn't the number one guy on the board. That's Cam Coleman. But there literally haven't been that many elite guys that have made their decisions at this point. Is that, you think that's agent driven? You think that's trying to figure out what's best place for people, or what are you thinking there?
I thought you were talking about Jerry. I'm thinking that people are waiting to see what happens with Cam Coleman. And once that domino falls, then everybody can regroup and say, okay, now I know what I have to spend. Because anybody that's after Cam Coleman, you've got to have that certain amount put back that you're top, that you're cap. This is what and so maybe you're not even seeing signings in other areas yet until you know what you have to work with. So I think until that domino falls, it's log jamming some other schools and possibly even some other positions. But I don't know that there's a wide receiver close in the portal to Cam Coleman. I think he's elite. He's the one everybody's after. But once that domino falls, then I think you'll start seeing some action.
Now, I from the Texas side, that's 100% it right there. That's 100% it. Exchanged some messages last night, and there's a couple other guys that Texas likes, but until Cam Coleman has a decision, nothing's moving forward with that. Now, and I do think, and I've said this before, and we have a super chat about this and a question about it. We'll talk about later in the show. We got a long time to talk about this. Coach, I will say this. Now that there's only one portal window, somebody at a position, and it's not going to be just one school. It's going to be a few schools that are going to get caught holding the bag a little bit because you don't have a spring portal window to go back and see who jumps into the spring portal. So this is like real NBA, NFL free agency. There are, and I'm not saying it's Texas. We'll see which schools it is, but there's going to be some schools that get caught holding the bag on a position or two because the battle here is, since it's 2 weeks, how long do you wait? How long do you wait on these decisions before you make a move on your number 2 or 3 guy? Because I do think there's a balance there now that there's only one portal window.
Yeah, there is. It's kind of like the old Kenny Rogers song. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
Yep.
There's a lot of people out there sweating, and they're saying, "Yeah, I kind of think maybe we're Cam's in his top 3, but I don't know that we can compete with so and so and so and so. So when do you fold? You know, when do you fold and go ahead and get the guy that everybody else is going to go try to get if they don't get Cam?
Yep. And look, and that's the part of the thing we were talking about, coaches. You've dealt with this from, the high school recruiting aspect. So there's some similarity, but it's more of a marathon. This is more of a 200-meter sprint with a 2-week portal window. But, there's that. We talked about it yesterday. There's your tier 1 guy, your Cam Coleman, right? Then there's your tier 2 guy, your Nick Marsh, who committed to Indiana. And then you go down to your tier 3 guys, right? And if you're in the battles, if you're in the whatever you want to call them battles, whether you want to call them big boy battles, agent driven battles, or you're all in battles, whatever you want to use, whatever term you want to use, those recruitments are far different than your tier 2 and your tier 3 recruitments. So that's the one thing, and because a lot of those tier 1 guys have not committed that are ranked out there. Now, I think there's some tier 1 guys that are ranked as tier 2 or 3, but that's a different conversation. But you went through that in high school. From a high school recruiting standpoint at Texas, it's kind of that decision on which battles you want to get in, because, and it's different in the NIL now, but we all deal with it, the difference in those battles.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it can get confusing at times because it's one of those things where, in my opinion, sometimes you overthink things, and you get yourself locked in. And instead of, next season seeing some guy that's sitting there in the portal and go, man, we didn't even consider him, and he's tearing it up in this conference, or against that school or whatever. But the whole point of the portal is you're going to lose guys. We've lost more than we've ever lost this season in the portal. The whole is to improve your football team. You have to improve your football team. And I think, would Raleek Brown be an improvement over Trey Wisner? I think possibly so. I mean, the guy's got 31 explosive runs.
Yes.
I think now that's nothing against Trey Wisner. Nothing. I mean, what a great player. What a great player. But my point is, you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you're having to take guys just to fill spots, and you haven't really improved your roster.
Guys, I got a question. I'm getting some news and notes coming in. I'll share with those in a minute. Coach, I wanted to ask you about the games coming up this weekend, the national semifinals that we're going to see this weekend. Do you have favorites in those games at this time? Are you rooting for anyone in particular based on your own, I guess your own proclivities at this point?
I'm rooting for Indiana.
Yep.
The underdog, the team that doesn't play football, that doesn't emphasize football, but a head coach. Just ask him; he's a winner.
Yeah.
And I'm also pulling for Ole Miss.
Okay.
For obvious reasons. I mean, here's a bunch of guys. You talking about your backs up against the wall, man. People don't believe in us. Blah blah blah. And we know there's a lot of reasons that Lane had for leaving in his own mind. He justified him in his own mind. But would it not be unbelievable to see those guys come together as a band of brothers and say, you know what? We believe in us, and that's all that matters. We can win this national championship. And so those are my two teams that I'm hoping win in the semifinals. And then I think it's going to be fun, whichever one of those teams, if they make it to the finals. I would kind of like to see Indiana win it just because I'm a Signetti fan. I love the way he does it. I love his facial expressions. But he just does it the right way, and he was exactly right. He's the definition of a winner in my mind from what I've seen so far. But you get the Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, maybe Oregon, USC in there occasionally, not really USC, but same old things. This is their third out of four national championship. It's kind of refreshing to see a program that really none of us know a lot about. I don't personally. And then, for them to have the opportunity to win the national championship. Can they beat Oregon? Golly.
Yeah. Can you beat a team twice, Coach? That's the question. I mean,
absolutely you can.
That's the tough thing. And they wanted Oregon, so it's not like they beat them at home. They went to Oregon and won. But that's the question I was going to ask you is the toughness of playing and beating that team twice, especially with everything on the line, like it's a third-round playoff game, which you probably were in one of those scenarios in your life.
Yeah, and ask Georgia. They beat us twice in 1 year. Certainly it can be done. As a matter of fact, in this situation, with the way that they beat Alabama, it's got to even be more on the minds of Oregon almost, more like, golly, yeah, these guys, they didn't come in here and pull a fluke on us. They're the real deal. So it's just got to be, I'm not going to say terrifying, but a little scary for Oregon, the way that they're playing and the way that nothing seems to phase them. Nothing. We'll play you there. We'll play you here. Draw a line in the sand. We don't care. We won't play, and we're going to win.
Yeah.
Buddy Pal Chief, big guy, had a great comment in there, and Blake brought it up. If Miami gets to the national championship, it is a home game. Home game in Miami.
That'll be wild.
If they beat Ole Miss, this will be their best chance to win a national championship in a long time. That's a home game in Miami.
Yeah. I think about this. Let me ask you all this. I mean, the one thing that I'm thinking about as it relates to all of this, and you mentioned that Ole Miss and losing all their coaches. Have you heard the latest on that, Coach?
I didn't know they lost. I didn't know they lost all their coaches. I'd heard it, and I don't know what's true or what's not true. That he was going to try to force those guys to come on to LSU to help with portal and recruiting. Has he made them do that?
So here's the latest. They've got a 1-week reprieve essentially, but I don't know that he's going to let them. He's going to let Charlie Weiss stay and call the offense, I guess. But the other guys, maybe the running backs coach is going to stay. But the other guys, you're going to end up with student coaches at some positions potentially at Ole Miss, and they're making a run for the national championship.
That's not a good look.
It's just chicken. It's chicken to even put it there. But at the same time, I mean, and I understand LSU's viewpoint. Well, we're the ones paying their salaries right now. I mean, Ole Miss isn't even, but at some point, cooler heads have to prevail, right? And smarter folks get together. I want to ask one more question. Last year, all 4 semifinal teams did not have a bye. This year, 3 of 4 semifinal teams did not have a bye. Do they need to go to 16 or down to 8 to make sure nobody ever gets a bye? Because that seems I agree it's a small set of data points. It's only 8 games, but 7 of 8 is actually quite a pretty.
Yes, those are good betting odds. I mean, when you're betting and you have that kind of odds, you take it.
Yeah.
You didn't really ask why. Excuse me, but I think those teams stay focused. You always take the risk of, an injury or whatever, but they're dialed in. I mean, they are focused, and some just can't handle it as well. I think there doesn't need to be any bye weeks. I think it needs to go to home field advantage for those that are the higher seed. Let that be the reason that you get rewarded for being a high seed. But if I'm one of those coaches looking at this data, and my brother Ben, actually my older brother Ben Shipley is the one that pointed that out to me as it started happening again this playoff season. But if I'm a coach, I don't know that I want to round off. I don't know that I want to buy. Stay. There's something to. You've been going through the same routine for 15, 16 weeks, however long. We're creatures of habit, and you get somebody that's been in a routine that long, and you have an open week during the season, but you might play Kennesaw State or whatever. But to get up again, I think there's a letdown. You've got to get back up when you have a bye. When you don't have a bye, you got to stay focused, man. You got to stay on the grind. It's kind of like, I don't know if any of y'all are runners. I used to like to run until I have no knee again anymore. But, if you're out running 5 miles or something like that, you don't want to stop. If you stop, it's hard to get going back. Once you're running and you're in that rhythm, you don't need to stop. You don't want to stop. Everything's got to start all over again, And here I am, a big guy talking about running, but it's true. And I think it's the same thing is true for this. Give them a home game, at least one round home game, and that's the reward for being ranked high.
When you think about it, I think what they were thinking was going to happen is that the conference champions would be ranked 1 through 4, and they should get the week off because they played in the conference championship game and make everybody else. And theoretically, that makes sense. Oh, well, the top 4 teams will be 3 of the 4 at least will be conference champions. So they need weeks off, yada, yada, yada. They played the conference championship game. Well, the reality of it is that they're still playing a team the next week that's a pretty good team that's still on a tear a little bit, right? Like an Ole Miss. And so I'm with you, Coach. I think they need to go away from that. And I'm also with you in that I'm rooting for Indiana in this college playoff and Ole Miss. Those are the 2 teams I want to see win this week.
Well, I'm different.
Oh!
I'm different. I'm rooting for Miami so we can keep talking about it. Texas made the playoff. They could have won the whole thing. Now, I don't think Texas is as good as Miami up front and that on either line. But that there is that conversation. Here's the other thing, Coach. Lane Kiffin made $500,000 for the win last week. He makes $750 for the 500 again for 750. I think 500 again for the appearance this week. 750 if they win. He makes $1 million on top of all the other money if Ole Miss wins a national championship.
And Ole Miss is saying thank you for paying for our
while recruiting for LSU.
It's one of the craziest stories in the history of college football.
It is.
Especially if Ole Miss can win, they've got to do a movie. They've got to do at least a documentary on it because I hope there's a lot of cameras talking to those players, and even I don't know. I'm just old. I understand loyalty, but I just would like to see coaches just stand up. They make millions anyway, and say, "Coach, I love you, brother. I'm loyal to you. I've been loyal to you. We've been here 5 years, however long. We recruited these kids. We've loved on their parents. We've loved on their little brothers and little sisters and all that. We've developed them. How can you ask me to turn my back on them at this point? Where's loyalty? Yeah, if it cost you a job at LSU, is that worth something about saying who you are as a man? I'm a loyal man, but don't ask me to choose. I've always told my coaches, when you have to make a decision, you always make a decision on what's best for the players. Always. And I do that as a head coach. I may have to fire a coach, not because I don't like him, because he's not best for our players. Our players don't get him. He mistreats them, whatever it is, fill in the blanks. He's not coaching them up, whatever. If you're a head coach, all your decisions have to be based, in my opinion, and nobody's ever offered me $70 million to.
Yeah, true.
But where I come from, your decisions are based on what's best for the players. What's best for the players. And if that costs me a chance to go to LSU, so why are you trying to go to LSU? To win a national championship? Hey, you can do it this year. Yeah.
So what's the real purpose in the effort? To your point, what's the real purpose in the effort if it's not to win a national championship and you're on the cusp of doing that potentially at Ole Miss right now?
And do it with the kids that you recruited and you raised and you developed and you went through. You've been in the foxhole with those guys for years. For years. What do you tell parents when you're recruiting at LSU? What do you tell them? Well, Coach, we get to the quarterfinals. Are you going to leave on my son too? He can't transfer in the middle of in the middle of the playoffs and go to, Indiana or whatever, so he can win a national championship. No, he's stuck. Are you going to bail on him like you did the last team that you coached? I mean, there's a lot of stuff. It's deep, and I think this time for our sport, for our country, for honorable men to stand up and do what's right instead of giving in to the almighty dollar. We got an opportunity to teach these kids, not only these kids, but every college player in America and every college football fan in America. We've got a chance to stand for something. So stand up, be loyal to your people, follow through with what you said you were going to do, and then go win a national championship, baby. Icing on the cake.
Coach Shipley, thanks for firing everybody up this morning, buddy. We appreciate you so much. You have a good one. We'll see you again on Thursday night, man, on the live. You have a good one, Coach.
Hook 'em, guys. Have a good show.
Former high school coach, was also assistant at Texas with Tom Herman and Charlie Strong, two different regimes, briefly with Steve Sarkisian, father to Jordan and Jackson Shipley as well. Blake, before we get to our next topic, I know you've got some advertising we got to get to, and then we can move on.
All right, so let me start by telling everyone about Prize Picks this morning because we make decisions daily. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid, and it's simple. You just pick more or less on player stat projections. If you get those picks right, you can cash in, win up to 2,000 times your money, and it's the best way to get in on the sports action in more than 40 states. That includes California, Florida, Georgia, and right here in the Lone Star State. And the college football playoff semifinals are here. And I'm taking Oregon wide receiver Decorian Moore to have more than 29.5 receiving yards. Oregon quarterback Dante Moore to have at least a passing touchdown. And Miami running back Mark Fletcher to have more than 69.5 rushing yards. Of course, they have a lot more than college football. They have college basketball, NBA, NFL, NHL, whatever it may be. They even have esports. Go find you something. Make your own picks in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks, where it's good to be right.
Blake, I'll talk about Harry's in a second. I can't believe he brought Decorian Moore into the mix right now with all our portal madness going on. Blake is just, man, he is just rubbing it in right now, isn't he? All right, well, let's get a shave going. Let's get a shave. How about that? Harry's. Why Harry's? Did your razor dull too fast? Irritate your neck? Then it costs way too much. $30 for 8 refills. Total scam. Now, let's see why Harry's is the razor to use. But what was your first reaction when you shave with Harry's Plus? You know what my first reaction to Harry's Plus was, guys? When a woman said, "That's a great razor," you know it's a great razor. I mean, that could be the end of the read, right? But that's not the end of the read. Harry owns their own world-class blade factory in Germany. No outsourcing, no middleman. The same facility has been perfecting blade making for over 100 years because they control the entire process from steel to shelf. They keep costs low. Why pay $30 for refills when Harry's gives you better blades for a fraction of that? Harry's has launched the most advanced razor ever, and it's still cheaper than the Gillette Fusion 5. If you don't love your shave, Harry's will make it right. No questions asked. Risk-free trial means there's zero downgrade to giving it a shot. Harry's Plus is Harry's heaviest razor handle ever, made from metal, never plastic, designed to fit comfortably in your hand. Heavier handle means more control and a luxurious feels. That means no nicks, cuts, and everything where you put the toilet paper on your face and you look like crap. Harry's doesn't just make razors. They've got a full line of grooming essentials from shave gel to deodorant to body wash, all thoughtfully made and priced to stock up. For a limited time, our listeners can get a Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/OnTexas, all caps. That set includes the all-new Harry's Razor Plus, one refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming gel, and a travel cover. Very important to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/OnTexas to claim this offer.
All right, last read here for this one. Mint Mobile, now that the holidays are over, you might be feeling that spending hangover, the food, the drinks, the gifts. It adds up fast. January is when I started cutting back. Actually, I started in December when I did this. One of the easiest wins for me is wireless. That's why I use Mint Mobile. Compared to my old carrier, I get the same quality service without the massive monthly bill. Right now, they're offering 50% off unlimited premium wireless. Mint Mobile's end-of-year sale is still going on, but only until the end of this month. You can cut out big wireless and their bloated plans with 50% off 3, 6, or 12-month of unlimited plans. All plans include high-speed data, plus unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. And you can keep your phone, keep your number, and switch in minutes. I use Mint Mobile. You should too. The service has been just as reliable as what I had before, and I'm just paying a lot less. This January, quit overspending on wireless with 50% off unlimited premium wireless plans. Plans start at $15 a month. Make sure you check out mintmobile.com/OnTexas. It's a limited time offer. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, $180 for 12 months. The plans are required $15 a month. Equivalent taxes and fees are extra. Initial plan term only. Speeds over 50 gig may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Again, plans start at $15 a month at mintmobile.com/ontexas. Hey, as we finish up that discussion, guys, with Ole Miss, some news happened over the weekend. One, Trinidad Chambliss, their quarterback, is attempting to come back for a 6th year. He has already agreed to a deal with Ole Miss if he gets that 6th year. And this is also important. Their running back, Kewan Lacey, has also agreed to a new deal with Ole Miss for next season. So they will have their battery of sorts back, most likely the quarterback and running back that are going to make the national semifinals here. And I believe they play on Thursday, Miami and Ole Miss do. So it'd be interesting to watch that transpire. But I want to follow that up based on the conversation with Coach Shipley there. They won't be going to LSU with Lane Kiffin.
Well, that's what I was saying to say. You guys know I have a lot of props just out of luck sometimes. So if anybody has Lane Kiffin's address, could you send it, email it to Blake? I would like to send him this pillow to lay his crying head down on when all his players don't follow him to Ole Miss. So if anybody has Lane's address, please send that to Blake.
You're like Carrot Top with the props, man. You just
A
pull
lot
them
of
out
props.
left and right.
That's pure luck. That was in the top of a closet, and it wasn't mine. I promise you, pure luck.
Hey, I want to say this. Also, just breaking. Ole Miss just took a recruit from LSU.
Well, he gone into the portal.
Yeah, no, he'd gone into the portal.
Yeah,
but their starting tackle, Carius Kern, LSU's did not re-sign with LSU, and now he is committed to Ole Miss. Turnabout is fair play, I guess.
You know what that is? That's Ole Miss's alumni doing everything they can. That's their double rods. All this is their double rods to Lane.
I can tell you this. It's we'll see how all this turns out, but I think Lane Kiffin's a really good football coach. I think Billy Glasscock's a good general manager.
Yeah.
They will get players at LSU.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you have to burn something down when you leave. That's what I don't like, when people burn things down when they leave, walk out the door. So we'll see. I also, while y'all were doing a couple of those reads, I checked on something just to make sure I was accurate with something I said earlier. Only 2 of the top 20 players in the portal right now that are not quarterbacks, so this excludes quarterbacks, have committed and signed with other teams. So only 2 of 20. Okay. That is Jontez Williams, a cornerback out of Iowa State, has signed with USC. And Caleb Hawkins, the running back out of North Texas, has signed with Oklahoma State. The interesting thing here is Hawkins, one of the 2, is actually just following his coach.
That's right. And he's from Muskogee. Yep.
So while everybody's yelling and screaming about, hey, why hasn't Texas done this or that? Texas is waiting on elite players right now. And the rest of the country is too.
Yeah.
The vast majority of signees are from ranked 45 and below. So just put it that way. Texas, I think, has had with Sprague, Coleman, Woods, 3 top 20 guys, 25 guys in the portal in already. They think the other guys are in that category, starter level guys for them too. I mean, Texas had potentially 6 starters next year on campus already. You're just going to have some patience, my man.
But there has to be patience. But all these programs have to start winning some of these battles too, because there are a lot of them are in on the same guys, and nobody's going to win them all. But they do have to start winning, Texas included.
Yeah, it's like I said, you can push your chips all in. Doesn't mean you're going to win.
Yeah.
All right, we got a super chat from Juan. Thank you, Juan. He says, I think people are frustrated, Bobby, that there's no offensive positions like wide receiver and O-line that are not being looked at while waiting for decisions like Jerry said, not holding the bag. That's why they are frustrated.
So, in other words, you want backup plans to the 2 Michigan offensive linemen and Cam Coleman. Understandable. I get that. And I'm not saying that there isn't some valid truth to that, but who's to say they're not doing that and y'all just don't know about it? So Texas has, I will say this, Texas has done this and will continue to do this. They're not out there telling everybody in the world who they're trying to bring in for visits. So you only see what you can see. You don't necessarily see what's going on behind the scenes. So to think that Texas is just, oh, well, we don't have to worry about offensive line. That's not how those guys work. It's just not. I do think that they feel good about their position with all of these guys, and we'll see what happens after that. But to think that they're just, all we're going to do is bring these 2 in and that's it, that's not how this works. And that's not how they're working. It's just because you're not hearing any names and you're going, oh, wow, that's what
and while other guys are committing to other schools, that's the other part of it.
Yeah.
All right, our next super chat this morning. Actually, Troy Cessna, you put in a super chat, but nothing was attached to it. If you'll just drop your question in the chat, we'll make sure to fix that for you. And Rob here says, with all the running back talk, I wonder, do we have a superstar already in the room? I'm including Cooper, he said, that could break out this year. He personally wasn't high on Wisner going into 2024, and he led the SEC.
I mean,
Of
it's
that
possible.
group, I think Cooper may be the one that could be a superstar. I will say that. I'm not saying that Christian Clark can't be solid or James Simon can't be solid, but I think when you talk about superstar level caliber guys, I think he would be one. Wisner did not lead the SEC in 2024. That was actually Dylan Sampson. Is that his name? The running back up at Tennessee. Wisner was the SEC's leading returning rusher coming into 2025. Obviously, only rushed for 597 yards this year. But I think that if there is a superstar already in the room, I think it's potentially Derek Cooper. I don't think that either James Simon or Christian Clark could be categorized as that. But I don't think they want to. They don't want to leave it to chance here, Rob. And that's why they're recruiting Raleek Brown, the 1,000-yard rusher out of Arizona State. We've not really gone into that, but Raleek Brown is expected to visit Texas on Wednesday. Texas running backs coach Jabbar Jaluk is expected in Southern California later today to meet with Brown and his family at his home. He's from Southern Cal originally.
And then,
By the way, this is a good question. Because I do want to mention this. Why can't Jermaine Bishop come in and take the top off of defense like Ryan Williams did his freshman year? I'm not saying he's like Ryan Williams because Ryan Williams had an unbelievable freshman season, but Jermaine Bishop is a very talented football player, and I will be, assuming he plays offense, I'll be shocked if he doesn't see the end zone a few times next year. He's that level player.
We got some more running back super chats here. This one from Travis Bingham. Thank you. Is Adam Muhammad from Washington on the radar? Travis says he's a baller.
He's a good player. We haven't heard the name yet. That doesn't mean behind the scenes there hasn't been some initial contact made, but that's not a name. I'm more right now now that the portal is open and guys are in the portal, where could the visits? When will that visit happen? So that's kind of the radar I'm at right now is I wait to hear, okay, I think there's a lot of contact going on, but where does that contact go? It has to start going towards the visit.
I also would say this. There are still guys going in the portal. Right now from multiple teams. I mean, one of the top players in the portal went in yesterday. Christian, so just I would wait for that. I have heard Caden Durham's name,
Yeah.
the running back out of LSU. So I put him on that list, although I would not put him. I don't know where he sits on that list. There could be others. We've mentioned Bryson Washington out of Baylor. I think he may be headed elsewhere, though, at this point, probably Texas Tech. There are a couple of different players that I would put in this category. My thought process here is there could be still more guys out there that we haven't discussed yet. It's the way of the world.
And let's see here. Our next super chat this morning comes from Clayton, and he says, theoretically, and of course, he may have put this in before the news came out, but what stops Texas from reaching out to Kewan Lacey's agent and making him the top NIL running back in college football?
I mean, the discussions are always there. And by the way, somebody asked about Jane Ball. I'll follow up with that. Look, the discussions with agents are always there, right? But it's got to be reciprocated too.
Yeah. First of all, the thing that happens here is Lacey's agent has to be the one reaching out. Texas can't. I mean, that's just not how it works. And agents typically have 10 to 20 players that they're repping. They send a list to the GM or one of the GM's underlings and say, are you interested in any of these players that might be going into the portal? That's how the first approach works typically. The agent reaches out to other teams with your name.
Yeah.
It doesn't go, the inverse doesn't occur.
Yeah. So somebody's asking, because Ted Apari one asked this earlier, and then somebody just asked about Jaden Ball. I continue to hear that Florida feels really good about Ball, but he has not announced anything yet. So somebody has said, hey, does Cincinnati transfer running back Evan Pryor, who's originally from Charlotte, signed with Ohio State, transferred to Cincinnati? Does that have any bearing on Jaden Ball? No, not to my understanding, because Florida had lost multiple running backs through this coaching change to the portal. So Florida, like Texas, even if Ball returns to them, even if Weiser had returned to Texas, there's still a need for another really good back there. So I don't think that and I talked to somebody that is very good at covering Florida, and they said that has no impact on Ball's decision, because he understands he needs help with that running back position if he returns.
And let's see here. More regarding running backs. This one from Adam Mitchell is Duke Watson at Louisville, a candidate in the portal. He's a dog.
Not a name we've heard yet, but doesn't mean we can't.
And then a comment here from Slick Rick. He says, Brown screwed over Texas. A deal was made with him before they let Wisner walk. If Texas knew he would bail, they wouldn't have let Wisner walk.
By the way, congrats to Wisner on his commitment to FSU. Guy played hard for Texas. I don't think those are similar. I think the Wisner thing was, the ask.
Yep. It was the ask. And that's not – look, Trey Wisner, just by the way, congratulations to him. He signed with Florida State yesterday. I'm sorry, I dropped out of the chat there. I need to change my Wi-Fi from like I need to change my phone plan. What I was going to say is Trey Wisner signed with Florida State yesterday. Very happy for him. Young man did a great job at the University of Texas and will do a great job at Florida State, I'm sure. But Isaac Brown and others, they can have it. Texas did not put an official offer on the table for Isaac Brown. You can't do that. He wasn't in the portal yet. Can you give ranges to a agent? Yeah, you could probably give ranges, or you could say our guy made this last year at this position, etc. But we'll see how it goes. And they can get pretty straightforward at times. But look, I think that Trey Wisner is going to be an asset wherever he goes.
And chipping away, you just put in a super chat, nothing attached to it. You can put it in the chat and we'll try to fix that for you. Another running back one. Derek says, why would a running back sign with Texas with only a right tackle for sure coming back?
I think that we'll see later today or later this week, on Trevor Gooseby at some time. I still believe he's coming back. I think also Texas is going to sign some linemen in the portal. I don't really worry about that. Nick Brooks is also returning. Connor Robertson is leaning to returning. I think that's a little bit of a stretch to be concerned with.
Yeah.
And Arch Manning's coming back. He must have some faith that they're going to have an offensive line for him. You think the running back might have some faith there too?
Let's see. Buddy Pal, Chief Big Guy with Super Chat says, forgive my ignorance on this. If a player is paid by a public university, does that make them a state employee or independent contractor?
They are not employees, and they are fighting that big time.
Yeah.
So they would be neither in this category. There's some, they basically are still student athletes focused on NIL rev share. I don't know if they file a 1099 to your point, Buddy Pal, Chief Big Guy, but it is part of a NIL rev share deal that does not make them an employee.
Yeah.
I still think they get mentioned as students.
And then Jason wants to know, any concern that we put all our eggs in the Michigan O-lineman basket and not much else? So we need 4 or 5, says Jason.
Ooh, that's a lot. I don't think they need 4 or 5. I think 2 to 3 is what they need right now, Jason. You got to remember they have some guys coming in too. I think that right now it looks like they put all their eggs in the Michigan basket. To your point of view, Jason, I don't know that to be the case. I don't know that to be. They brought in a guy from Wyoming, Wes King, the offensive tackle. They thought he was too small, apparently. Didn't necessarily agree with his build. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, he left without an NIL offer. So they are doing their due diligence and trying to find guys.
Yeah. I want to address something real quick. Somebody in the chat, I'm not going to pull up the chat. It said flood is hurting recruiting. That's not the way kids think. They saw 4 guys get drafted. They see a first-team All-SEC left tackle. They see multiple guys getting drafted. That's not the way the kids think, the players think. They see an opportunity to go to the NFL, Texas.
And then we got a few comments here. Let's see. Let's start. Troy, I hope this is the right one. It's the only thing I saw from you in the chat. So if this is not your super chat, my apologies. But thank you for your super chat. He says, y'all keep up the great work. Appreciate that, Troy. And then Longhorn Frenzy says, good morning, fellas. Just wanted to say thank you for staying on top of the portal transfers and bringing us what info you can. I know it's not easy because things can change in the blink of an eye. And chipping away, I hope this is yours as well, says, love Bobby's passion. Get them straight.
Welcome. Thanks. I am passionate about this stuff.
Yeah.
I that's one of the reasons I love coming on here every morning and talking. And to Longhorn Frenzy's point, things can change in a heartbeat. If Texas gets Cam Coleman, everybody's going to go say, okay, what's next? What about Jaden Woods? They'll go on to the next thing like that. And if they lose a running back like Isaac Brown, they want to know the answer at the next running back, the very next second too. And I get that. And so we're well aware of that. Jerry and I've been covering recruiting for 30 years now, at least I have. And it's always been that way. And so I think that's part of it. People are asking also about other offensive tackles. Texas is not in the market they are in the market for another offensive tackle. And Andrew Sprague is that guy right now at Michigan. There could be others. The issue that Texas has, a lot of these offensive tackles that are going in right now want to be left tackles.
That's the whole
Lance
deal.
Hurd is a great example.
Somebody asked about the NC State tackle.
Yeah, they want to be left tackles
Yep.
so they can get higher rankings for potentially for the NFL next year.
And higher NIL.
And higher in NIL if you're categorized as a left tackle.
Yeah.
The issue with that is Texas is, as long as Trevor Gooseby returns next year, which we're very hopeful of that occurring, that position is blocked. So you're not going to see these premium tackles go to Texas if they think they can be a left tackle somewhere else. Not out of the gate, at least. Maybe they circle back to that.
Then we have a couple of super chats here from Cade Stewart. And his first one says, I may be one of the few, but I feel confident in the current Texas roster. Back-to-back top recruiting classes. The sky isn't falling if we don't hit on top portal guys. Hook them. And then Cade also adds, an unproven roster doesn't mean unproven guys won't step up next season. I trust the high school recruiting process. So much talent is on this team.
Look, I will say this: Texas in a different spot. Like everybody's like, well, look how many guys Texas Tech has committed in the portal right now. Well, they got to replace 15, 16 starters and a lot of depth off their team. They got a lot of work to do on their roster. They may have to go 25 plus guys. I think the Michigan game showed that Texas has some really good, talented young players that are returning on this team. And so you have to factor all that in. I like where Texas roster returning is next year. I'm also not one to say the portal's not very important, because you have to fill those needs, and you do not want to get caught holding the bag in the portal, because then you have an issue you can no longer replace. So then you're going to be dependent on more younger guys. So there's that element of it too. But I love a lot of the young players at Texas.
Well, hey, Jerry, let's just talking about that. Let's just talk about the secondary.
Yeah.
Jelani McDonald's returning. Grayson Littleton's returning.
Cade Phillips.
Cade Phillips is returning. Xavier Filsaime is returning. Okay. Yeah. Warren Roberson expected to return. I mean, Kobe Black, we don't know for sure yet, one way or the other. My point in all that, plus what they have coming in, Texas has some really good pieces here, and even some outstanding ones in the case of a guy like Jelani McDonald or an upside guy like Cade Phillips, right? There are pieces like that all over this roster. And that means Texas, unlike an A&M, which is going to go try to fill up with just backfilling their roster, okay? That's different, okay? Texas is trying to augment its roster. That's what I mean by all in. When you're bringing in your top wide receiver, you're bringing in 2 Michigan starting offensive linemen, you're bringing in starting middle linebacker from Wisconsin, starting 2-time our honorable mention all Big Ten corner at Rutgers. I mean, guys, starting defensive end at Florida. I mean, they're trying to augment the roster, not just stay even. Yeah. And that's their job.
And by the way, Texas has a ton of really good players coming back. They have some young guys, Justice Terry's of the world, guys that are going to end up being really good football players for them. And then somebody mentioned linebacker. There are areas Texas absolutely has to hit in the portal, especially with the change in scheme that's coming. And linebacker, you got to get 2 starting level linebackers with experience and the size and range Will Muschamp wants and versatility he wants. And that doesn't mean Tyanthi Smith's not a really good player, and Bo Barnes showed well in the bowl game. And I've been told that Muschamp really likes where he could go as a player. So, and Brad Spence, I think he's going to be an overhang rusher. But Texas has to fill that linebacker spot. There's spots they have to fill for sure.
Okay, our next super chat this morning comes from Jeff Carey. He says the entire portal structure sucks. Yeah. Every player is a free agent every year. It's ridiculous.
Well, look, that is why I think this new portal window, and I get it from a fan's perspective. I do get it from a fan's perspective because this is the first year of it. There's always been the spring portal window. Now, I've followed it in college basketball in general because they've had one portal window, and you see what happens And I'm not talking about the team we cover. I'm just saying in general in college basketball, somebody can get caught holding the bag. Well, the difference is you can go internationally and go get a really good player now. That's the difference in basketball. But in football, it's a little different right now. Now that there's one portal period, I mean, I am not going to shy away from these comments. Multiple teams at certain positions will get caught holding the bag in this portal window, because this is now like NBA and NFL free agency, and you have one crack at it. So that the reality is on January 25th, after all the dust settles, because you have to be in on the 16th. That doesn't mean you have to make a decision on the 16th. Let's say January 24th, 25th, we're going to be able to look around and say, ooh, this team may have got caught holding the bag at this position, and that may affect them by a win or two next year. That is the reality of college football with one portal window. It'll be interesting to see how it all falls.
Okay, then we have one this morning from Guy. And Guy says, is Sark going to fumble the portal because he refuses to overpay? If he won't overpay for these guys, schools like Tech will. Why isn't Texas wallet whipping these other programs?
Guys, stop this, please. Are you gonna go pay everybody in your program more than you pay Colin Simmons or Arch Manning? I mean, there's Texas is absolutely at the top of the scale. I don't know what else to tell you guys. You think Cam Coleman's free? I mean, it just doesn't work that way. They are in it right now for these guys. And it's not because they're pitching low numbers. So there's also some responsibility here, right? I mean, if it were all about money for Cam Coleman, he might be somewhere else. I don't think it is all about money for him. And so we will see this and see how it turns out. Other teams are literally, they have money too. You can't just wallet whip. Other people can wallet whip people. Like, are y'all not noticing that? Wallet whipping is not the answer. That's not how it works. Other people, Oregon can do that just as well. USC can do it just as well. A&M can do it just as well. Y'all are acting like Texas should be able to do it without anybody else in the game. And that's not how it works. You got to work with these guys.
Yeah, I want to say this. I mean, look, there's more to it than that too for me. Texas is going to have a top 5 NIL roster. And I'm going to continue to say this. If you're 130th at penalties, I don't care how much talent you have, you aren't playing in January. So there's more to it than even that. You can get all the players you want. If you're looking up at 130 teams on the penalties ranking, you aren't playing for the national championship. So what's Indiana? 3rd in penalties this year. 3rd. Texas 131st. It's more than just about players. I think the roster build is so important to having enough talent to get out of your league into the playoff in a Big Ten or SEC. There is something to be said for that. But after that, there's many other factors that are going to allow you to play for a national championship. And you can't be 130th in penalties and play for a national championship. It's got to improve. So I don't care how much talent you have. There's different, and it's important. But I also want to say this. Everybody's like, well, Cody Campbell's just money whipping everybody. He had to on a quarterback because he didn't have one, and he got shut out, and he was embarrassed. But I think he's doing a great job at Tech. They were in the playoff. Nobody would have ever put money on Tech being in a playoff 5 years ago. So congrats to him. But they've gotten their portal right now. They have 8 transfers. San Diego State, Akron, Liberty, Alabama State. I mean, not all these guys are money whip recruitments for them at all. Not even close. They have a lot of guys to add. Let's see where Cody Campbell's at. Because Tech is just the new people. That's the new team, everybody. And I call him Brad Wesley, and he is. He's doing a great job. He runs Lubbock. but not everybody they get's a money whip recruitment. Not even close. There's 2 or 3 that are high stakes recruitments. And that makes, I think people think, oh, he's just out there money whipping everybody for every player. And the reality is he's not. He can't do that. Doesn't financially make sense, but he's got to build a roster again that'll get him to the playoffs.
And all he's doing is creating a Big 12 All-Star team.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what he's doing. And that'll get him to the playoffs.
Yeah.
He has different needs than what Texas A&M, LSU, Florida, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, just different needs.
Corn Dog Handler said, due to the lack of portal action, CDC should fire Sark, skip the 27th season, and just start over. Did I do that right?
Yes, you did that.
Whoa. What would happen to all my props? My glasses, my Mayo corn dog? What would I do all year?
I love this lack of action. Here's what I and obviously he said that tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Here's the piece for me, guys. Lack of action. Texas has had 15, 16, 17 official visitors in 4 days. But that's a lack of action. They've gotten 5 commitments. 3 of them are specialists, but still in 4 days. That's not a lack of action. That's a lack of perceived action because no big names have fallen yet, in their opinion. Even though Texas went out and filled 2 spots on the roster they felt like they needed.
All right, I tell you what, Bobby, before we get to our last few super chats of the day, why don't you tell everyone about Texas Road one last time?
Yeah, absolutely. Our friend Rick Vavro and the guys at Texas Road, your full-service solution for major road projects. Texas Road provides on-site concrete through volumetric trucks. For smaller volumes, they're able to complete road building in a high-profile environment with the full support of multiple crews performing utility, dirt work, concrete, asphalt, and more. Check them out, texasroad.com, your full-service solution for major road projects. Thank you to Rick Vavro and his team for their sponsorship of On Texas Football.
Okay, well, as I said, we got a few more before we get out of here this morning. Let's see. G-Rob says, does no spring portal mean the spring game is back this year?
Ooh.
It's a good question.
I think
takes away an excuse, that's for sure, for coaches.
Yeah, I don't know that there's going to be a spring game. I would say that from what I've heard, there may be a spring practice that's available to fans. I think that's what they were trying to get to, but no promises on that. By the way, I have no problem with no spring game. It's not really a game. You know it. I know it. The problem I had last year is that it was a spring game party, but they lacked the football aspect of it. And I really think they need that back. Even if it's just a practice and not a game, I'd like to see that part back.
And then our next super chat this morning comes from Rocky P. Thank you, Rocky P. All the teams have 3 non-cons. They should be playing all the other power conferences in the non-con schedule. No more cupcake games.
I'd be for that. Right now they've moved it down to 2, obviously, with the 9 conference games and the 1 major conference exception. So the SEC has to play 9 SEC games plus 1 major conference opponent in their scheduling now. I think that's going to be a positive. I also think that they should go to 11 or 12 as well without playing the Sam Houstons of the world. No offense to Sam Houston or Texas State or UTSA, et cetera.
And then we got a few other super chats here that I'm going to read together. Eric76 says, Texas fans have to realize we're in the same boat that all programs we measure ourselves up against are sitting at home too. And then Jeff Davis says, I think people are so mad because they thought as soon as the portal opened, Texas was going to get everyone day one. That's not how that works. LOL. Also, these schools that are getting the guys, Texas isn't even looking at quality over everything.
That's true. Talent over everything. I think that that is part of the equation, Jeff Davis. they do want instant gratification. But none of the guys Texas has brought in have committed elsewhere at this point. And I want to say this. I mean, we haven't even talked about Kenny Ozawalu at this point, the UTSA guy from San Antonio Reagan that came in. Not sure where Texas stands on that recruitment at this point. He's visited Oklahoma and Texas to date. We'll see where that goes. But I feel like of the major players, none of them have chosen anywhere else. We got to wait and see what happens. The only negative thing that's happened, in my opinion, is that neither Jaden Ball nor Isaac Brown have went in the portal. And there was some thought that they would go in the portal. Not by Texas per se, but by their agents, discussing that, and even Brown announcing he's going in the portal. So think about that a little bit. There's nothing has happened other than they brought guys in on visits. Got to have some patience. It is not an easy man's game. Just like if you're, sitting there trying to play poker, you don't show your hand right out of the gate. It's a little difficult game that they're playing right now. Have some faith. I think they're doing well. And I said this at the outset. I like where they stand for Coleman, the two Michigan OLs, and Jaden Woods and Bo Masco, Cristiano Allegro, as of last night. Could things change today? Absolutely. Could they change if they take other visits? Absolutely. But that's what I'm being told as of last night. So, but is it done? Or is anything done? I'm not aware of anything being done. Keep playing the game. Keep recruiting.
And then Biggins here, Biggins MN says, people need to understand that Gooseby, Simmons, Wingo, McDonald aren't free. Retaining a roster is just as important as adding. And on the same note, Lane Kiffin's lost dog. The difference in our wallet and Tech, they have to build their entire roster every year. We don't. They have to spend that way. We recruit and develop.
Completely true. That's what Jerry was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
word for word.
Yeah, so I want to say this because Indiana is the most popular team to talk about right now. And I get it. I think Signetti's done an amazing job. But let's talk about portal for a second with them because everybody's like, oh, Indiana's doing fine in the portal. Why is Texas struggling? Okay, so, and I'm not saying who's the better player. The transfer in from Kansas State, Toby, I won't pronounce his name, really good player. Ranked top tier 2 transfer player. Sorry, I finally got that right. He committed to Indiana. If Indiana chose to get into Jaden Woods recruitment, do you think Jaden Woods would be committed to Indiana right now? The answer is no. That's kind of what this is my whole point. Now, is he going to end up being a better player? Time will tell. But there's Turbo Richard, the running back that committed to Indiana from Boston College. I love the kid. Just watch him against FSU and a couple other people briefly. Really good player. If they were waiting to see who came into portal or they were going after somebody else, would those guys be committed already? Indiana, and I'm not saying he's wrong, I'm saying it's a study in portal, and it's fun to look at. It's a fun conversation. But to say, oh, Indiana's crushing it in the portal and Texas isn't, well, they're also going after different players. Now, that's a discussion. But I guarantee you this, Indiana got Nick Marsh committed. If they had gone after Cam Coleman, does anybody think Cam Coleman would be committed to Indiana after one visit, or do you think he still would have taken visits? That's kind of my point and it's a fun discussion to look back on a year and say, okay, man, Indiana, Kirk Signetty is just a better talent evaluator and decision maker than anybody on planet Earth. Maybe he is. But they're going after different players. That doesn't make them wrong. That doesn't make Texas right. You're only right if you get those guys, by the way, if you're Texas, right? But they're going after different guys. And that doesn't mean I don't think Nick Marsh is an NFL player. Toby's an NFL player. But if they were going after Cam Coleman, he wouldn't be committed to Indiana right now. That's all I'm saying. It's like, and I'm not saying who's right or wrong in it. It'll play out. But they're going after different level guys. They're not getting in those battles. Those top battles. And that may be smart of them. We'll see in 10 months or in 3 weeks.
Jerry's Mayonnaise with the super chat says, will they ever go to a 2-year contract on players with buyout clauses to protect both programs and players? These 1-year contracts are making no sense. I just don't see how Sark and company does it.
They could go to 2-year contracts. Some people already use them with buyout clauses. The problem with buyout clauses is they're not necessarily as enforceable as some people would like. They're using a lot of liquidated damages clauses in these, and you can't really use that the way that the lawyers are trying to. I'm not a lawyer. I've had it explained to me. I don't know if I can clearly articulate it to you guys, other than buyouts are not something that are easily enforceable as it relates to student athletes. I do think people can go to 2 and even 3-year contracts if they wanted to. For example, I don't know that they will, because look, what happens if one of the things that can't happen, an NIL deal can't be tied to performance on the field. So what happens if a guy injures his knee his first year and you're paying him $1 million a year for 3 years? And all of a sudden you have money out the door for years 2 and 3. Now, maybe you hit a home run and that guy's worth $5 million in year 3. That's unlikely, though. We'll see. And I think that player would be selling themselves short and trying to renegotiate the deal every year. So we'll see. I don't think there's a panacea by addressing the contracts by simply adding years to agreements. I think it has to be collective bargaining of some sort. Then you have enforceable contracts, real caps, most likely. And I think that the other part of this is I think there needs to be a different cap level than 20 million. Clearly, the money is more out there than 20 million a year in major college football. You know,
yeah. By the way, I want to bring something up. Trey Hicks, switch it up. Is Kirby interested in an Atlanta job in your opinion? I have no idea on that at all. I have not heard anything on that. He just feels like a college football coach to me.
Yeah, he gets after him a little hard for a head. He gets after him a little hard for the pro approach.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get away with some of the stuff he does in college in the pro game.
And I think he's really good at it in the college game.
Yes, he is. Clearly.
Okay. Let's see. Sailor Joe seems slow, but no one else in the SEC is really making big moves yet either. Feels like they're all expecting something post Thursday games. Okay.
There's a little bit of that.
It's, again, we've said this, there are not a lot of big names off the board other than at quarterback. Texas is not in the market for a quarterback, so they can't be big move. You know, that's a good point, Sailor Joe.
Sorry, I was responding to somebody. Yeah, Rocky P says if Sark paid $5 million for Sorsby, I would fire him. LOL.
So there's levels to this. Look, I think Sorsby. I don't know if it's worth $5 million. But I'm happy for whoever gets that, honestly. He might be worth $5 million to Tech after you get shut out, though.
Yeah.
Because he gives them a run threat at quarterback, too. Now, you still have to put pieces around that guy. But is he that worth the money on the surface? Absolutely not. Is he worth that much money to Tech after getting shut out in the college football playoff if you want to get back? Maybe. Just to them, it may be worth it.
Let's see if he's worth it.
Speaking of Tech, Warrior, do you all believe Texas Tech has the testicular fortitude to schedule a real non-conference game?
The problem is they can schedule one. They need to schedule like 4. With the way the Big 12 is going right now. I mean, the Big 12 is becoming a worse conference by the minute. I mean, Iowa State down to 20 players now? Just total players. It's Kansas State's going through, losing all of their best players. It's difficult. Hopefully Oklahoma State comes back a little bit under Eric Morris. Hopefully TCU. Baylor's had issues too, by the way. So it's not the problem that we're having is you're seeing a dividing of the haves and have-nots in college football. And almost all of the haves are in the Big Ten and the SEC. Almost all of them. Okay. And until we get down to two conferences, and maybe we need to figure out how to I've said this, compare it to pro baseball. How many Major League Baseball teams are there? 30, 32? I don't even know anymore. 30, I think. Well, in college football, there's 130. That means in pro baseball, you literally would have not just the major leagues, not just AAA, not just AA, you'd have single A, all matched into one big super league. That's not reality in college sports. There's really about 30 to 45 teams that deserve to belong at the upper tier echelon. Okay? Figure out who those 45 teams are and invest like hell in them. That's how you keep college football interesting in the 21st century, in my opinion. That means, yes, I'm sorry, we can promote Sam Houston State, we can promote North Texas, we can go out there and root for James Madison, but it's just they should have a different level. Maybe it's a AAA level that if you win the AAA the year before, you get to come up the next. I don't know how all it needs to work. The idea that 136 teams are equal and should be having the same salary cap because they want to revert to mean is causing all the problems in the first place. They would have said, okay, $40 million salary cap. This would take a lot of these teams out of this race that they can't afford. Coastal Carolina does not need to be playing in the same league as South Carolina and Clemson. It doesn't work that way. They want it to work this way, I think, and I think it's fool's gold in a big way.
I want to answer a question real quick. I know we got a couple more super chats before we get out here. Lou 1949, give us for the chat and everybody, give us your opinion on Tech where Texas Tech would have finished in the SEC this past season. It's hard to do. It's easy on some level, but it's hard to do because if you played Florida's schedule, they're 7-5 team, maybe 6-6. That's their reality for me. 7-5 with Florida's schedule. If you look at Florida's schedule, so there's kind of parts to that. If they played A&M's schedule,
maybe 11 or 10-2.
But where they would have played, if every SEC team played each other, where would they have finished? Behind Ole Miss, behind Georgia, behind A&M, behind Alabama, behind Texas, behind Oklahoma, maybe behind Vanderbilt. My opinion. 7th. It's how you score 0 in a college football playoff game against Oregon, who had not been great defensively and still is not great defensively.
And I think this is our final one this morning from Slick Rick. Thank you, Slick. OTF is blessed to have a pioneer like Bobby. Bobby is the level of CDC and Mac Brown covering Horns football news. Classy.
I don't know about that now. I will say this. I can't dress like either one of those guys. Those guys have me outclassed. CDC has these hats and these blazers. Mac is always Natalie dressed. Not me. I'm just Bobby sitting back here. But thank you, Slick Rick. It's very kind of you. We're all blessed to be here with you guys. Now we just need some portal action. That's what needs to happen. Because I tell you what, I want to say this. Fans get anxious about portal and whether or not Texas is going to add players. We do too. But we try to keep it in perspective the best we can based on our knowledge. But we get anxious too. Don't worry.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Texas Road. We want to thank them along with Prize Picks. And my mind just went blank. Mint Mobile and Harry's for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Bobby, what can they tune into later?
Got recruiting breakdown. Jerry and CJ and Jeff Howell are definitely going to be talking portal madness for sure. We probably will break in with a news break or so during midday hour. That's kind of when we've been trying to get something up for you guys. It's more timely and give you guys some more intel. Also, we'll have a live stream tonight if there's anything that breaks in the evening time. If there's a commitment, we'll come in as well. So we've got a lot of stuff planned. Make sure you check out the website too, Blake, and everybody else. If you are not a subscriber yet, check us out. $1 for 1 month. It's an introductory offer available to everybody that has not subscribed before. So you have to be a first-time subscriber. Check us out over at ontexasfootball.com. We've had 1,000+ people join us in the last week since we started this trial. So please come on over, hang out with us over at ontexasfootball.com. I wrote an article this morning. Jerry's got news coming up soon as well.
Okay. All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for tuning in. We hope you have an outstanding day today. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see